morning. Welcome to everybody that's joining here. It's January 9th, Monday, January 9th, our first deep dive of the year. We were off last Monday for the new year, but it is the new year, new opportunity, new possibilities, and excited about starting this new year on the deep dive for everybody that joins us. Love having you on, and grateful for you starting your week off with the deep dive. So we'll give it a few minutes and let folks join, and I'll try to follow along as people do join on the deep dive here this morning. You know, I'm out, you can see here on the West Coast. We have events coming up this week with Tom Ferry's Roadmap tour. We'll be in LA, Orange County, and San Diego. I'll be out across the country in a lot of different places this year. So if you're out there and can make it, love to see you. If we're going to see you this week, look forward to seeing you. It's going to be a good time. So let me see if I can follow along here on Facebook on the live. There we are. Okay, Joanne, see you there from Wisconsin. Great to see you. I'm just going to try to watch here for a second and see folks joining, if I can get it all straightened out. So tell us where you're joining from as we get going this morning. Always good to see folks from all over the country that join the deep dive. You know, I'm going to talk about a lot of things, but one of the things we're going to talk about is where is the opportunity right now in the new year? And I think there's some very specific opportunity, very specific information and data that leads us to where opportunity is right now. So I can't see folks making comments, so I apologize for that. But I know you're out there, and grateful for you joining to start off the deep dive. So I think here's where I would sort of position our time this morning. And maybe I'll start here with a quote. Let me share my screen and start with a quote, because I think it encapsulates a unique view right now on the market. It comes from Dave Stevens. He's a former Assistant Secretary of Housing under the Obama administration. He's held many roles in housing. But he says this. He says, "So be advised, this may be the one and only window for the next few years to get into a buyer's market. And remember, as the Federal Reserve data shows, home prices only go up and always recover from recessions, no matter how mild or severe. Long-term homeowners should view this market right now as a unique buying opportunity." So that's a unique perspective that maybe sometimes I don't think is covered out in maybe even the media, maybe even with people that are in our business. The unique opportunity of this window that we have in the new year of a buyer's market. You know, people are, the last couple of weeks have come out in our business and said the market's frozen. We're in the winter freeze. Nothing's happening. And here would be my message right now for us. We have to remember that we have to control the narrative. The headlines that are out there, people that are talking about our business, not necessarily talking about it opportunistically right now, talking about it maybe more from the fears of housing. And no doubt there's been a dramatic shift in the second half of last year and where we sit right now. I talked about this on the last deep dive, really the turn that we're making in housing. And it's very, very important. But our job, your job, is to control the narrative out there, because the message will be told by people. The question is, what will that message be? And, when we think about, is the market frozen? One of the things that I just want to point out to you real quick is over 11,000 homes in this country sell every single day. If you take the latest existing home, this doesn't even include new homes, but you take the latest existing home sales report, just over 4 million sales annually divided by 365, that's 11,205 homes that sell every single day. If you take this even further, 8 houses in this country sell every single minute. You see the math on the screen here, 11,205 divided by 24 and then divided ultimately by 60, 7.8 houses. So the next time somebody sort of bends your ear and says, nothing's happening in the housing market, or it's not, the market's frozen, or nothing's good happening, tell them, if they waste 10 minutes of your time, tell them 80 homes just sold while you were talking about how nothing's happening in the housing market. Because I think if we're not careful, that sort of perspective sucks us in. But I want to give you a different perspective right now. about this market, and it's this right here. The current change in supply and demand works in favor of the educated agent. So as supply has risen, demand certainly has cooled off. That works in the favor of the educated agent. And I would encourage you to share this deep dive or share it with people in your office or on your team to say, how do we understand how this works for us as the educated agent? Because some are sitting around saying, well, interest rates have risen and affordability is challenging for many people, and there's nothing we can do. Well, there are several things we can do. I want to give you a couple of things you can do right now, and then sort of end with where the data and everything shows us the opportunity right now. So first piece, what can we do? Suggest alternative means of financing. And this comes from the Urban Land Institute. The risk of ARMs, it's adjustable rate mortgages, were substantially mitigated by the regulatory reforms put in place after the 2008 bust. Today's adjustable rate mortgages are not the risky products of 2008 or even the pre-bubble version. ARMs are, in fact, no longer something to fear. In fact, they could help borrowers save money and reduce barriers to homeownership. So somebody thinking about buying, I would be partnered with a lender, talking about what does it look like? What are your goals? Long-term homeownership. What do you believe about this home? And looking at, is an ARM right in this situation? The other thing that we can do relative to alternative financing is look at rate buy downs. This comes from the Real Estate News. And if you're not familiar with the rate buy down, I would connect with a lender who is familiar with the rate buy down that can educate you on that. But temporary rate buy downs are a hot trend for mortgages as borrowers face higher costs for home loans. Some buyers are exploring alternatives to traditional mortgages in a period of rising interest rates that is expected to continue into 2023. Buy downs are a less costly alternative to traditional fixed rate mortgages. So a seller concession given to buy down the rate, and this, oftentimes it's a 2-1 buy down that lasts for a couple of years and gives that homeowner some relief on these high interest rates as we go through those. But two things specifically you can do to help counter the rise in interest rates over the last couple of not last year, last 6 months or so, where we've seen the dramatic rise in interest rates. Last year we talked a lot about there had never been a year before where the interest rate had doubled. Really went from about 3.2%. We wrapped up the year about 6.4% last year. It's fastest rise we've seen, in some of these alternative ways of financing can help people in that opportunity. So let's go to where the biggest opportunity is right now for us, for agents. And I'll break this down and show you what this shows us. And I think there's a very specific way to capitalize on this. First, active listings over the last 2 years, according to realtor.com, have gone from 2021, wrapped up the year, about 445,000 active listings in this country. We wrapped up last year about 750,000 active listings in this country. So more active listings over the last 2 years, not quite doubled, but close to it there in active listings. But what's also happened at the same time, we know that the pending listing count year over year has dropped. Just about every month was, since the beginning of the year, pending listings have dropped. So active listings up, pending listings down. What does that mean? There's more inventory and less velocity, less demand in the market, meaning those are expired listings. If something doesn't sell, it becomes an expired listing. Quick fact, on December 31st, more listings expire than any other day in the year. Agents write a contract, maybe they write it in the middle of the year or in the fall, and they write it till the end of the year and say, let's see what happens. In that opportunity right now, as you look at what's happening in this market, to be able to go and talk to someone about why their home didn't sell is critically important as we look at how do we do things that help move this market forward? And I absolutely believe that we can. Now, the next piece here, before I open it up for questions, Sarah, I'll go to you in just a second and we'll talk about questions. But no doubt, controlling the narrative, looking for opportunity, being someone that says, hey, I see the opportunity in this market is what we need to do. Tomorrow, we are doing our KCM webinar. And it's titled Your Market Knowledge. And I would add in there, your action with that knowledge will determine your success in the coming year. You can go to trykcm.com webinar and sign up for it. I'm sure somebody will put that link in the comments. But no doubt, understanding this market is critical to our success and will be in the coming year. We're going to talk about interest rates and the fact that we're seeing very clear signs that the panic is starting to subside. We'll cover the forecast for the coming year. We'll cover about how do you control the narrative, and we've got some exciting announcements for you on that webinar. So if you're not registered, go ahead and register for that. And Sarah, I'm going to pause for a second to see if we have any questions.
Yeah, so that's actually a great segue because Linda, she had asked, do you expect the mortgage rates to rise through 2023? Most are saying no.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We're going to cover that on the webinar, but I will tell you, give you a little sneak peek in that. It's a great question. Most experts believe and are saying they believe that the rise in rates, the peak in rates is behind us. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to be a volatile market, but what I'll show you tomorrow on the webinar is that one of the reasons rates have risen is because there's so much panic in the market. What's going to happen with the economy? What's going to happen in housing? What's going to happen in the world? And, you know, there are specific things we can do about that as professionals, but experts would say the peak in rates is likely behind us. Any other questions?
One more question. There is one more question from Scott. Scott says, we're seeing the inventory starting to drop again. Is this happening elsewhere too?
Nationally, when you look at inventory, it's risen, you know, so I think as we turn into the new year, most experts are saying, you know, we go into the spring market, it's going to be a busier spring market, I believe. Not something like we've seen in the last couple of years, but I do think we'll start to see the business pick up. Any others?
Shoot you one more question. There's one more question. Yeah. Let's see. Johnny asked, what type of property, single family, multi, etc., do you see as the best opportunity for an investor in 2023?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Who was it who asked that?
Johnny Bondeza.
Johnny, it's a great question. There are probably people that are better qualified than me to answer that on this call, but here's what I would say. Investors right now, I believe that our long-term investors are trying to acquire the property because they know anything bought today, 10, 20, or 30 years from now, is a solid investment. And you go back to where we started, there's a window right now of a little bit of a buyer's market in a lot of cases, not a buyer's market relative to what we think traditionally over 6 months of inventory, but more negotiating and bargaining power than what we've seen in the last couple of years. So I think, Johnny, I think it's a great question. I think there is opportunity, and the investors that I talk to that are long-term investors are focused on acquiring the property, maybe not flipping it immediately, but buying and holding. And that strategy always wins. Any others, Sarah?
I just see a few people saying that you can't make it to the webinar, but if you do register for it, you will be sent a copy of that recording. So just a note, because I see a few of you said you want to attend, can't make it, but if you do that and sign up today, you can get those that recording from Dave as well.
Yeah, we'll record it. So go in and sign up. You do want to attend this because I do believe with all my heart that your knowledge and your action with that knowledge will absolutely determine your success as we go into the year. And so we'll wrap up our first deep dive of the year on that. Sarah, thank you for the questions, and we'll see you back. I believe next Monday is a holiday, but the Monday after that. Take care.